why did we launch open source drug discovery? That is because the existing models of drug discovery is not suiting the needs of the people who really require access to medicines. You might have heard about what is called a 90-10 problem in drug research. 90% of the investment, 90% of the time, 90% of the research goes into the diseases that affect just 10% of the population of the world. And this 10% are understandably people who are having high purchase power, people who are having what is called market power, people who live in the United States and in Europe who can afford to buy medicines at high rate. So if you're not living in the United States or in Europe, your ability to buy medicines at a cost that is determined by the pharmaceutical industry is limited. But we all believe, universally we all know, human life is valuable the same, whether they live in US, in Europe, in Africa, in Asia, or elsewhere. Every life is valuable. And providing health care to each one and everyone is a universal responsibility, and it is accepted as a universal human right. However, when you take the case of diseases that affect mostly tropical places, like Asian countries, where people are living below the poverty line, a large number of people are being live below the poverty line, where people do not have the market power to buy medicines at high cost, we find that the diseases that affect these group of people are neglected by the pharmaceutical industry. But the number of people who are dying are very high. Why did we choose tuberculosis as a target disease of OSDD? Why didn't we take any other case? Tuberculosis kills, by the end of this day, at least 1,000 people in India would have died out of TB. Across the world, in 20 seconds, one person dies. And what are the current drugs that are available? It is a concoction of 4 drugs which have to be administered over a period of 6 to 9 months, and these were invented in the 1960s and the 50s. Maybe. 50 years of tremendous scientific progress, we do not have new drugs. We do not have serious pharmaceutical industry investing adequate resources to research and bring in new drugs into a disease that affect this huge section of the population. So it is time for us to bring about a change. Pharmaceutical industry has been successful in bringing a lot of drugs into the market, and we are really grateful to them. But we also have to understand that their business model has limitations. They work based on what profit the market can get for the research that they are doing. And this has limitations when it comes to poor man's disease like tuberculosis. The problem in tuberculosis is that it kills a lot of people but many of us are not discussing about that problem. Most of us are not thinking about that problem. Most of us are not applying enough of our scientific expertise into this problem. Why? Because it is a poor man's disease. The newspaper and the media is not writing about it. Because it is a poor man's disease, pharmaceutical industry is not interested in it. One thing which you have done as a group, cheminformatics group, and your leaders have done is you have brought together a large number of persons who discusses this as a problem, who looks at tuberculosis as an issue which need to be discussed, and you all wake up every day thinking about this problem. And that is a major shift. It is not a minor shift. That is a major shift that has happened in tuberculosis. That has happened in tuberculosis research. Because you are seriously looking at this problem. And you are seriously looking at it from the point of view of cheminformatics, which brings in a much bigger dimension to the whole project that you are doing. The traditional business model or the business practice of pharmaceutical industry is to treat drug discovery as a field of synthetic chemistry, and that is done within the closed doors of pharmaceutical industry, with outsiders hardly participating, fresh minds hardly looking into it. It is time for us to change this practice. If we have to get drugs for diseases like tuberculosis, we need to bring in much more focus of chemistry into this work. We cannot call ourselves to be a drug discovery project if we don't do serious chemistry. And that is the significance and importance of the work that you are doing. And if you look at the field of cheminformatics and compare it with the relative field of bioinformatics, a large number of softwares, open source softwares, open source tools are available in bioinformatics. A large number of people are working in bioinformatics. However, the field of chemistry is much more closely held. You do not find enough open tools, enough of open data available in cheminformatics. And that is a change that you have to bring into this field of cheminformatics. Unless and until you bring in that change, we will not probably be able to give a big push towards drug discovery and tuberculosis. We will not be able to give a big push to the way in which research is done in pharmaceutical industry. Unless young minds like you seriously look at the problems facing cheminformatics, the problems facing chemistry, whether synthetic or otherwise, and this discussion comes into the open, and unless you provide new and open tools out there, we will not be able to make a change in drug discovery process. So here is your challenge, and here is your task, and here is your historic calling. Like the task that was put before CDAC in the 80s, that we have to bring in today. Why we are meeting here at MCC Calicut for this 3-day workshop, the purpose is this. At the end of this 3-day workshop, we should have a very clear idea what we are going to do in the next 3 months. Yesterday you asked me what you can do to make OSDD more popular. What you can do to make OSDD more popular is to devise during these 3 days an action plan for the next 3 months, and at the end of next 3 months, release to the world an open source software in cheminformatics that you can be proud of and the world can be proud of. And that's something which will enable us to design much better drugs for tuberculosis. And that is the task that is before you. We take it as a challenge. We work like a mission, and at the end of 3 months, say by the month of April, we should meet again and say that 3 months before, we had made a resolution to create a new platform and that we have done that. And I'm sure that you are capable of doing this. I'm sure that under the leadership of Dr. Jalil, Dr. Vinod, Dr. Anshu, Dr. Srijit and others, you will definitely deliver upon this challenge that we are taking upon ourselves today. Thank you.